wants to, he had some bankruptcy problems.
And alcohol and
Yeah, he had a lot of problems, yeah. He's been to the bottom, he's been to the top. Now he's on his way back.
Like those athletes, who have their ups and downs too.
Well, that's true, but most of them, by the time they hit the downs, it's like, it's time to get into something else. I'm too old.
That's true, yeah.
This guy's, he's older than me. Leigh Steinberg. He's about 69, maybe.
I mean, he hasn't had to perform on the field.
No, but he's got, he's like you. He's got this business experience that it's valuable.
Oh, yeah.
And all the connections. I was really impressed last night, Edward. I don't know enough about what you guys are doing, but it sounds really interesting.
I mean, it's pretty simple. We're the bank.
No, I was looking at the thing. I was going, that if I ever have some money to invest, which I hope to, I can be rest assured that I'll think very seriously about that.
I just wanted to
I know you weren't trying to pitch that to me, but I'm serious.
Yeah.
I thought it was I'm looking at them thinking, that's great. Not only that, but both you guys, especially, because he was the guy that's sort of front and center, but he just seems like he's such a straightforward, no BS guy.
That's why I like doing business with him. He's very transparent.
I know you're that way, so.
Yeah, just, I'm not a good liar, I don't think. So, what did I tell that guy? That
was an interesting group of people. So everybody there probably was semi-interested in maybe getting involved, or they have been involved.
Correct.
You had some people there that
some people were already investors.
It was nice. The testimonials you got there was really.
We didn't. I had no idea. Well, when people get their checks every month, like they're supposed to.
I'll be honest. I thought it was just going to be a cocktail, and I thought, okay, this is so much more interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of supposed to be a little bit of both.
It was. I didn't. Like I said, I don't know much about that. I mean, I'm learning about it. It's fascinating to me. I've always taken it for granted. Luckily, I haven't been horrible with my, putting my money away. We do have some money put away, but I got to figure out a new way to make money, and I know I can. I just don't know exactly how it's going to happen, because I do have a talent, but I don't think I can do it in radio anymore. I just don't think it's there. So it has to be something in a related area. And there are a couple of ideas I've got. So maybe you're interested in getting involved somehow.
You let me know.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay. Let's tell you what, since we have a couple of minutes, we'll do our 2-minute segment.
Sure, that sounds great. That sounds great. Upper's picture on Facebook. It looks like he had a great time with his family visiting. His dad was visiting, I guess.
Oh, cool. You have to check that out.
He's such a sweetheart, isn't he?
He really is.
Well, there's not a mean bone in that guy's body. He's just, and what you see is what you get. There's no BS.
It's the same thing. I know.
A lot of guys in our business. I shouldn't say that, because most of them are good guys, but some of them are like, come on, be real.
That's it. Okay.
Be for real. Come on, you.
All set?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
My character.
I just don't want to make you wait too long.
Oh, no.
Maybe my clock off.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about it.
Welcome to Sports Econ 101. You know our show. It's where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Today's show is going to be really fun because of our guest, who has been on our show once before. Who's our guest today?
Well, he really is the premier of sports agents, and I'm talking about Leigh Steinberg. He's been at the top, he's been at the bottom, he's on his way back up now. He is actually drafted, I believe, I shouldn't say he's drafted, he has signed 8 first-round draft picks. I just remembered that. 8 first-round draft picks in the NFL that have been under his guidance. So, he's got a nice track record.
We were talking about just before we got on the air about how, a lot of times athletes will go up to the top, down to the bottom. But it's kind of hard for them to come back, especially in their sport, because by then, they're too old or injured or whatever. But, he's in the sports business part, and as long as his brain is working, that's all he needs.
Well, I think also he's going to talk to us a little bit about a book he wrote, which, chronicles some of the ups and downs. And I'm telling you, the ups have been great, but the downs haven't been a lot of fun. But he's handled it pretty well.
And for those who don't remember, the movie Jerry Maguire was based after his...
based after Leigh Steinberg's experience, loosely, but, I'm sure he won't say, no, it wasn't.
No, we asked him about that. He did say, yes, it definitely was, somewhat close. Of course, it takes, artistic license, but that's going to happen. And at each, we're going to cut to commercial breaks. When we do, we're going to give away some vacations to the first email with the correct answer, and the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina. And you'll be emailing Edward at sportsecon101.com the answers, And today we're just going to do general sports questions. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I got a couple of interesting ones
Oh,
here. I always like to keep it fun for you.
Yeah.
Keep the audience interested and all that.
I'll try.
Okay. And I'm sure we'll talk a little football because the playoffs are coming down to the wire.
Boy, this is going to be fun. It's so much fun when we get to this time of the year.
You know, I wonder if Peyton Manning can back off because I just don't think I just don't think he's
Manning against Brady. This is the 17th, or is it the 18th time they faced each other? That's incredible.
All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money. Check them out. They're currently yielding 8% secured by Bay Area real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good. All right. On the phone.
All right.
Mr. Steinberg. Sounds like I was talking to his assistant. He says it's a beautiful day down there at Newport Beach.
Oh, good.
Boy, you talk about living in a nice spot, huh?
Oh, yeah. It was, I saw it like, on the phone you can get because I do Orange County.
Oh, yeah,
sure. So that's, hi, it's Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan for the interview for Leigh.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your name.
Okay, it's Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan on Sports Econ 101. We're supposed to be doing a 3 o'clock interview with Leigh. Thank you.
It's interesting how he spells his name, too. I've never seen anybody spell the name like that.
It's kind of like Whitman kind of.
Network Sports with Andrew.
Andrew, it's Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan. How are you?
Good, how about yourself?
Good. Just figuring we're calling right around 3 o'clock.
Edward had to tell you, I got out for an hour in the ocean. Great waves, man. Great waves up here. Oh, my God.
There we are.
Oh, my God.
Well, let me know that you're on the line.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So what do you say?
He says, you're on line 1.
Okay.
I'm sure Lee will pop on with us in just a second here. You know, it's funny when I'd be waiting for Al Davis sometimes, because what he'd do is he'd call you up, but he wouldn't talk to you. His assistant would talk to you, and they'd say, is this so-and-so? You know, is this Bruce? Yeah. Please wait on the phone for Al Davis. And you get about 5 seconds. Bruce, how you doing, Al Davis? He was a character.
Do you ever talk to his son?
You know, I don't know his son that well. His son traveled with the team when I was covering him.
Hello?
There he is, Lee.
Hello?
Hi, Lee. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi, it's Edward Brown and Bruce McGowan, Sports Econ 101. How are you?
Hi, doing great.
Good. You've been on our show once before, and we love having you back. And so, if go ahead, Bruce. You want to ask?
Well, I was going to ask you, hey, Lee, how you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a while. What's been new? Same old, right?
Oh, we actually had a very good month. We signed a draft class, including
Sweet.
Paxton Lynch, who's the first quarterback in the April draft.
Nice.
And some other good players, Dan Vitale from Northwestern, who's a running back and sort of a robo-back.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Lasco, who's a really good running back from Cal.
Yeah,
Sure.
I've been hearing a lot about him.
And Lee, do you specialize in football?
That'll be the first sport in our build-out with my new company. And then we'll move to baseball. At one point, with my partner Jeff Moore and I, we had 60 baseball players.
Wow.
And we've done multiple lottery picks in basketball.
Wow. Well, let's talk about this. And also, listen, if you do it, Lee, I know you just came out with a book, and I don't want to hit you over the blindside here. If you don't want to talk about past problems, we don't have to talk about it. But if you'd like to get into it, that's fine too. Whatever you're comfortable with, man, because it's your interview, and we're not here to make you feel uncomfortable. So, whatever you want to do.
I mean, I don't mind answering a question about that.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm feeling pretty good. I was telling your assistant, Andrew, I'm feeling pretty good. I just got out of the ocean. 1 hour in the waves out there. I wish it could have been longer, but, Hey.
Actually, Lee, Bruce wants you to represent him for some surfing sports.
All right.
Competitions.
The 64-year-old guys who go out in the ocean.
Yeah, the over 60,
right.
over
Yeah,
60-year-olds.
Yeah.
They're all over here in Newport Beach.
I bet you they
there
are.
are.
Yeah,
They're everywhere. So, 60s, new 40s.
I like to say the same thing. You and I are of like minds, that's for sure.
Tell you what, hold on, Lee. I'm going to change mics. Yours is going out just a little bit.
He's got a little funky mic here. So, is it a nice day down there today, Lee, or is the sun out? And
sun's
sweet.
out and it's pretty.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, it's nice up here. It's 62 degrees, which for the Bay Area doesn't sound balmy, but it's pretty nice. Let me tell you.
We just care how it'll be February 6th and 7th.
Yeah, that's right. You gonna have another big party?
We are having another big gala.
Oh, great.
33,000 my closest friends.
There you go. And we're going to talk about that too then. We'll get into that also, because I got some good stories about that, because I went through a few of those things. I had a great time.
Really?
Yeah. All right. Thanks to Leigh. All right.
Okay, you guys ready? All right.
Ready to go.
Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan, my co-host. Bruce, who do we have on the phone?
We got a good guy who has been around a long time, and he is really coming on strong again. And I knew he would. Leigh Steinberg, super sports agent, probably the premier sports agent. He's represented 8 first-round draft picks in the NFL. He's back involved with some of the top athletes again. And Leigh, it's good to have you with us. Got to ask you first off, what you've been up to? What's been going on?
Well, this is the time that we sign new clients, and for our NFL draftees, we were able to, and incidentally, I've represented 60 first-round draft picks.
Are you kidding me?
And 8 of them were the very first pick in the first
Oh,
round.
there we
so
go.
there we go. Okay, that's what I was.
First of the first.
Jeez.
I had spent 40 years representing 8 first-round draft picks. I probably would
Be poor. Unless they all had Steve Young's contract.
Yeah, that's true.
So we were able to sign a quarterback, Paxton Lynch from the Memphis.
Nice.
Who's one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah.
6'7". He has hands that are a foot long.
Wow.
And yet he runs like a much smaller player, gets out of the pocket. So
Kind of a superhero, huh?
yeah, that's exciting. And from Cal, Daniel Lasco, running back who gained 1,100 yards his junior year and then had some nagging injuries this year. And so we have a whole new set of draftees. And then we've been writing for a year that the Rams would come to Los Angeles and the Chargers would come. And of course, I was Twitterized making that prediction as like not really having a clue. That's what happened. And I was chairman of, just like Save the Giants and Save the A's, I was chairman of Save the Rams back in '94. And so that's the team I grew up rooting for. So that's especially great. And then we are planning our gala Super Bowl party. It's number 29.
Wow.
Although I think I screwed up the enumeration somewhere because I remember the first one was 1985 in my home in Berkeley. And I had a bunch of sports writers over, and the next morning when I came downstairs from my bedroom, they were still there.
True sports writers. They know where the free booze is. There you go. There you go.
Lee, I was going to ask you for these latest first-round draft choices. Did they seek you out?
So normally, it's the agent who does the seeking out, and what happens is most players will designate a father, mother, someone to screen all the agents because there are 1,000 certified agents, and it would be absolutely overwhelming. Now, in the case of Paxton Lynch, his father, David, actually called our office in October 2014 just on an exploratory trying to pick up information. So at that particular point, I wasn't totally positive who his son was, but he sure came on fast and threw 8 touchdown passes and only 4 picks this year.
So in that case, did you, like you said, you didn't really know too much about him. Did you sort of put it on hold to wait to see how he did? You know, 'cause you don't accept everybody.
Yes. It was a matter of getting to know the family. Because our profile is role model athlete who's willing to go back to the high school, college, and professional community, set up charitable and community programs, like what you've seen with Steve Young's Forever Young Foundation, high school scholarships, repayment of college scholarships. So wanted to make sure there was a match in values, and it was someone who understood the frailty of a football career and how you have to transition to the second. And he was all that. So I met him for the first time late in the summer, just for about a half hour. And then when the season was over, I met with him. And, this franchise type quarterback at the top of the draft has been Young and Treitman and Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Bledsoe and on and on. And so what he needs to do is through this second season of scouting that now occurs was something that sort of in our expertise, and we had a values and personality match.
You know, I think it's really good business for you because in some respects, the actions of the athlete, not that they necessarily reflect on the agent, but if you've got some guy who's just trouble all the time, I mean that reputation can kind of fall on you too, can't it?
Well, it does, and then the reality is the best way to deal with aberrational off the field behavior is prevention. So we're very careful in explaining to athletes that there is no privacy anymore the minute they leave their house, that the ubiquitous nature of the cell phone means they can be captured at any moment.
All the Twitter stuff, yeah.
And restraint in pen and tongue, the Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And it also is a situation where if alcohol is involved, if they're in a crowded place, they need to plan before they even go into that. Make sure driving safely, not getting into fights, and all the rest. So if you prepare ahead of time, that's the best prevention.
Hey, I got to ask you, to me, you have to be a fan of the game to be able to do what you're doing. And I know that you went to UCLA for a while, then you came up to Berkeley, you got acquainted with Steve Bartkowski, represented him. He was an outstanding player at Cal, a pretty good NFL player. And it just sort of took off from there. But were you always, Leigh, a fan of the game? Did you always enjoy playing it as a kid, just going to the games? And you mentioned you were involved with the Rams. I remember you mentioned you were involved with the Giants and saving them too. So is that part of your DNA, the way you were just brought up? Your dad was into it? You were into it as a kid?
My dad was an athlete at UCLA, actually, basketball, golf, and he took us growing up in Los Angeles to Dodger games and Angel games and Laker games, and so sort of fell in love with ball. My favorite was baseball growing up, and the Dodgers. So it was ironic when Mayor Jordan called me and said, "Can you help me save the San Francisco Giants?"
Yeah.
They're about to leave for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And but I just saw it as an issue that you shouldn't break the hearts of fans. So remember that when I started, there was no sports agentry. Teams could simply hang up the phone and say, "We don't deal with agents," and they didn't have to talk to you. So this has all evolved over time. I mean, when I started, each team made $2 million as share of the national television contract, and this year it was $226 million. The two franchises that came in the year after I started, Tampa Bay and Seattle, cost the owners $16.5 million. Dallas Cowboys are now valued at $4 billion. So the world today resembles the world back when I started in no way, shape, or form.
Wow.
Also one thing we should mention about Leigh Steinberg, lately you've come out with a book about your life, which is, again, we're going back 40 years that Leigh has been representing professional athletes. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I know you've been through some tough times lately, and you've come back really strong. How difficult was it going through that period, Leigh, where you had bankruptcy problems, you had problems with alcohol, and I know you had to do some real heavy soul searching there?
Well, it actually was all stemmed from struggle with alcohol. And I eventually came to the position that, I'm not a starving peasant in Darfur.
Yeah.
Last name is Steinberg in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
I'm not crippled. My dad had these two core values. One was to treasure relationships, especially family, and the second was to try to make a positive difference in the world. And I wasn't really being effective 7, 8 years ago on either of those. So I pushed away the practice, went into sober living, the 12-step program, and in March, 6 years sober.
Great. Hey, Leigh, stay with us a quick second. The station needs me to cut to a break because we want to get back to what you're talking about. Okay. Quick break here. Here's a trivia question. Can you name 3 sports, and we'll give you credit if you can name the 4th one I'm thinking of, that begins with the letter B but does not end with ball?
and let Leigh answer that one too. I'll try, but maybe Leigh has the answer.
When we come back,
yeah, we come back.
I know you're going to get at least one.
And we'll get back into the serious conversation too.
All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101.
Sorry about that.
Sorry,
we're just up against this clock, and these guys go crazy if they.
Because they say it's a national show, but it's actually international because Armed Forces Radio, and so they force us to take hard breaks.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, life is unfair, as John Kennedy once said.
I just believe from doing my Yahoo radio show.
Yeah, I did some work for them as a stringer just at the games, and they're doing a nice little job, I think, Was that fun? Were you doing it regularly every day or just once in a while?
No, I just once a week.
Once a week, that's enough.
And,
yeah.
2 hours, and that, and we were so booked with guests.
Oh, yeah.
That, all I had to do was a little monologue, but it was sort of about it was called Behind Closed Doors, and it took bands sort of the business story or the sub-story underneath the event.
Well, let's talk about that too. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like I right after this show, I record a business show that I'm a host of, and so it's great when we have guests because I don't have to do all the talking. I appreciate that. I know where you're coming from. All right, guys, ready? Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. And our guest on the phone is Leigh Steinberg. We'll get right back to Leigh. We're going to first answer this trivia question here. Can you name 3 sports, or 4, whose name begins with B, but does not end with ball? So baseball wouldn't count.
Yeah, I know one. Leigh, do you have any venture? I know badminton as well.
Badminton, very good.
Okay,
yeah.
Boxing, there you go.
Bowling,
hey. There's 3.
You know what? Isn't that funny? That was my sport, and I didn't have it.
Yeah. Edward was rope. What was that? What was the last one?
Boating.
Boating, yes, of course.
Boating. I guess that counts. Okay.
There's a big deal up here with
the other 2 we had here was bullfighting.
Oh, yeah.
And bobsled.
I just don't think. I don't know about you, Leigh, but I just don't consider. I know there's a sport to it, but it's just such a brutal sport. I have real mixed feelings about bullfighting. I don't like seeing an animal get gored with it.
Animal torture.
Yeah, I think so. I hate to say it. I think you're right. Well, we got Leigh Steinberg on the phone. And Leigh, you were talking about a very serious subject, the ups and downs of your life, and lately it's been more ups. But you went through some tough times, and you came out of it strong. How did you? You were telling us a little bit about that. Continue, please.
Yeah, because it's not like he had any stress or anything.
no stress at all, right, Leigh?
I guess it was never anything in my business life. It was a situation where my father died a long death of cancer. My 2 kids faced blindness. Lost a home to mold, and then I got divorced. And all I ever really wanted to do was be a good father. So, people are talking about the comeback. The comeback is being 6 years sober. The comeback is having great relationships with my kids. All of that's great. Just a blessing.
Man, that's a good story, and I think whatever happens from here on in, whatever success you get, as you say, is going to be nice, but it's secondary to the real things in life, which sometimes we have to wait till we get older to understand and appreciate those things. So,
and really, I don't want to try to compete with my former self. Nobody's going to do 8 number first picks in the draft in different years. I mean, nobody's going to represent 60 first-round draft picks, all the rest of it. So you just be competing against the past. And what I still believe that you can help young men achieve and fulfill their dreams, prepare them for second career, and have them be role models that can make an impact. That's the satisfaction here.
Along those lines, Leigh, what do you do when kids coming out of college early? What if you don't think that they're personally ready? And because I know you can't take on every client.
Well, in basketball, it's one and done has been a abysmal failure. You really can't build a long-term program around the players who are there for 1 year, and they're only there because they feel stuck there. So they just leave. In football, it's a little different. Someone has economic need, and they may come out, and then try to give them an analysis projecting how high you would go in the 2016 draft if you came out, and then with a number of variables, what would happen in 2017, what the economic differences are. But in football now, they have a salary cap, and a player doesn't really have any freedom in the first round till after 5 years, and in every other round till after 4 years. So the reality is that ironically, that cap is getting players to leave earlier because they figure they'll get another year in towards free agency.
You know, I got to imagine that a lot of this has to do with alternatives, like competition between, you know, who's coming out that year, but also which teams are going to need, you know, position players, right?
Well, for example, this year, we've never seen an NFL that's so quarterback-centric. It doesn't escape anybody's attention that 4 quarterbacks playing this weekend. 2 were Heisman Trophy winners. 3 were the very first pick in the draft, and you know, Brady might be the best of them all. But if you don't have that player, so there are a number of different teams. San Francisco before Chip Kelly was seen as a team. Houston, New LA Rams, Cleveland. Dallas could do something. So that probably is one of the reasons you saw 2 top junior quarterbacks come out.
Hey, I got to ask you, you mentioned the 49ers, and I know you're from Southern California, but you keep up with what's going on up here in the northern part of the state, and we had a really interesting year with the 49ers, you know, stumbling abysmally, and it seems like they did a nice little recovery with Kelly, but I'm just not sure if that's the fit. I mean, a lot of people around here are skeptical. What's your take on the 49ers hiring the former Philly head coach?
I don't think it was an interesting year. It was a terrible year.
Well, no, I'm moving on, though. I mean, what do you think of bringing in this guy who...
you know, first of all, I'm real familiar because I've lived half my life in the Bay Area.
That's right.
And here's the thing. That team, once they made the decision to let Harbaugh go, needed a system, a symmetry in the organization, and a coach where there's a there there. So they made a dramatic move because Chip Kelly's probably got the strongest concept of how to build a team of anyone. Does it work? Well, he sure did it at Oregon, and he did it quickly at Philadelphia, and then they fell back. But the point is that what you want to watch is the symmetry between Trent Baalke and Chip Kelly, because if they can be in sync, what wins in sports, if you look at the 4 teams that are now in the conference championships, it's stable ownership, it's a very shrewd front office that knows how to draft and sign, and it's a coach with a system. You can do it Belichick's way, where you sort of plug and play. You know, they lose anybody, they just, except for Brady, and you just stick the player, and you can do it a variety of different ways. But you have to have that. And so what they really need to do is give Chip Kelly a chance. You look at it as a 3-4 year at the minimum, because every time you change, you destabilize players.
You know, a lot of people were up here talking about that Chip Kelly is almost like a Jim Harbaugh type, and they think that's actually good. Would you agree with that?
He's like him in the sense that Jim had Jim was my client as a player, and I never saw the over-intense side. He had a very different personality in private.
It was after that he played with Ditka, and that's what did it to him.
He was a coach.
Ditka does that to people.
And so being yelled at.
Yeah.
I remember when we did this initial negotiation, and we were disagreeing on figures. So I figured that the over/under on how long we could hold out a training camp was about 59 minutes. It went ballistic. And you could see, an atomic cloud coming off the field.
Hey, I got to ask you about these, talking about the Super Bowl, what about these 2 coaches in the NFC, Bruce Arians down in Arizona, and Ron Rivera, the former Cal linebacker in Carolina. And now, Arians is my age. He's 64 years old, so he's not a kid, but he's been around for a long time. And Rivera is one of these guys who's sort of quietly been under the radar. Yeah, I'd love to get your evaluation, because to me that's an intriguing matchup just as far as the head coaches go.
Bruce Arians, I got an award at the Maxwell Awards last year, and got to spend some time with him. He was Pro Coach of the Year. And he is a delightful character. Players love him. He's got strong concepts. Ron is I've known since he played at Cal. He was great for the Bears. He has real internal stability, and also has strong concepts. So those are two good coaches. As I said, you can win a whole lot of ways, but you have to have your own system of what type of players you need, what type of offense and defense you run, and you've got to believe in it and draft the players and sign them to fit that. So, those are both two terrific, totally terrific coaches. And Belichick, oh my God.
Have you gotten to know him at all? I mean, who knows him? Have you? Okay. Tell us a little bit about him, because he's kind of a mysterious guy.
Well, I had Drew Bledsoe back there, and I had Garrett Gilbert there for a while, and they both sort of said the same thing, which is that blank face stare with hoodie that you get is not the person they see. And I had Garrett Gilbert, whose father Dale played at Cal, and he told me that Belichick would joke, and he was very positive and upbeat. So behind what you see on the sidelines or at a press conference, he obviously wouldn't be that way.
That's what he wants to show the team
we knew both of us, and you knew him a lot better than I did, but I got to cover him for the entirety of his career in San Francisco and got to know him pretty well. Bill Walsh, and what an interesting guy he was. I mean, you talk about a guy who kept a lot of cards close to the vest, but man, he was passionate. He had a lot of feeling and intense, and I guess he and Eddie DeBartolo didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but they made it work.
Well, and the opposite for Pete Carroll. I understand behind the scenes he can be a little spitfire.
I went to high school with him, and I remember he was a hardcore guy. What have you gotten to know him at all?
What's funny about Pete Carroll is this. So he was considered too weak when he coached the Patriots, and too weak at the Jets. Like the players walked all over him. And then he goes back to college and fits perfectly at SC. And now he runs loosey-goosey, as long as you get the job done, loosey-goosey training camp. I mean, Richard Sherman's throwing wads of paper into a basket, during meetings. But, they love him too. You need a distinct persona and great football skill and to know how to hire assistants. But
Leigh, stay with us one more time. I hate to cut you off like that. Okay, here's our second trivia question here. Michael Jordan is not the only athlete talented in different sports. Can you name 3 people since the 1980s who crossed over from one professional sport to another? And I know you're going to get at least a couple of these, all right? Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. I hate to be rude. Don't take it personally.
Appreciate you being on with us, by the way. I know you're a busy guy. So
we just have one more
segment. We'll get you on your way. How's life treating you down there? Pretty nice though, huh? The weather's been pretty good.
Yeah, we've gotten rain though for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids live. My daughter goes to Chapman, and my son lives in Tustin. So.
Yeah.
I used to. I taught sports law 1 year at Chapman.
Did you? And you went to UCLA. Did you grow up? What part of LA did you grow up in?
West Los Angeles, probably about 10 minutes from UCLA.
Okay.
Bruce, have you been to Orange?
Orange County or Orange the town?
Orange.
No.
Oh, it is the cute. Isn't that Lee? Isn't that like the cutest town?
Beautiful little town.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
President Jim Doty.
Yes.
One of the magnificent fundraisers.
Absolutely.
He's got like amazing stuff on that campus. They've got a Holocaust study thing.
Wow.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Wow. All sorts of amazing stuff.
Are you talking about Orange Coast Community College?
No.
Orange?
No, in Orange, Chapman University.
Oh, Chapman University.
Is in Orange.
Is Orange. Okay.
It's the cutest town.
About 2 miles from Anaheim City.
Wow.
Yeah, when we had looked at colleges,
right.
As soon as we looked at Chapman, it was like a done deal. I mean, it's just a beautiful campus. You could just tell it was the
not too many students, so you have a nice.
No, exactly. Yeah,
right.
Everyone seems happy, and we're pretty tight with. Do you know Daniela Strupa? Oh, okay, because he's taken over for Jim Doty, and he's just the greatest guy. And Jim was great too. But it's one guy following the other.
Yeah, he's had a daughter. A daughter just graduated, or a son?
No, but my son graduated.
And the daughter's just starting there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so both kids on
so you got 2 generations at Chapman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, here we go.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, here we go. 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 Okay Oh, yeah, I'll ask that question.
Yeah, please.
Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Bruce McGowan. Second trivia question. Michael Jordan is not the only athlete talented in different sports. Can you name 3 people since the 1980s who crossed over from one professional sport to another? Give me the 2.
I'm just going to give one. I'm going to give you one. Let Leigh do the other ones.
Okay, so who was Deion Sanders.
Okay.
I was
Jackson,
going to say
who's the last one?
Yeah, who's the last one?
See, I knew you guys would get the first 2, and the second one, or the third one, you've heard of him.
Well, Jordan, of course, you mentioned, but
no.
Sanders and who was the one I was thinking of was Bo Jackson. And then the elite also.
Okay, you ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Danny Ainge. He played for the Blue Jays.
That's right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And now is Danny Ainge still general manager somewhere?
Yes.
With Boston? Is it Boston? Wow, gosh, yeah, he's been around for a while.
Okay, now we were talking some serious stuff. Now I want to get to the fun stuff. Bruce, you had mentioned something about going to Leigh's Super Bowl party.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I worked at KNBR for many, many years, and Ralph Barbieri was sort of the big star there, and Ralph knew Leigh, and Ralph knew Jeff Morad, and so he was nice enough to let me in and some other of the KNBR folks tag along. And Leigh had some amazing parties down there when the Super Bowl was played, especially in LA. You know, putting these things together is not something that's you have somebody that you hire to put this together, or how does that work? Because that was a big production, a lot of food. I mean, it was almost as big as the NFL's party.
Well, actually, I'll have about 3,000 people doing it. We had City Hall, but Hall of Fame booted us. So we're now at the place called the Metreon at City View. And we'll have about 3,000 people there, and so we have a party planner. I try to design it so the food, the decorations, the music are all representative of the place. Try to pick an iconic place. We do try to use it as a forum for charity. So when it was in when it was in Miami, Haiti earthquake had happened. They're dying from cholera, so we sent a water machine that purify water for 140,000 people. We are going to do a live hookup this year between troops in Afghanistan and the party itself. We give out now philanthropic awards. Last year we gave them to Woody Johnson of the Jets and Dennis Hickey of the Dolphins, Jeff Fisher, for what they do off the field. So it's owners, general managers, coaches, players, former players, movie stars, reporting artists, politicians, CEOs, and since it's the Bay Area, I've got a heavy load of personal friends.
It's going to be sweet.
Including Bruce McGowan and Edward Brown.
Now listen, don't no, he's got more important people. But you know, Ralph, I got to tell you, Ralph Barbieri, you remember Ralph? Ralph was a piece of work, and I know that Ralph also was a special talent, and is still around the Bay Area, still living in my county, as a matter of fact. But Leigh, I know that for 25 years, anybody who gets on one radio station that long and does that good a job, I think deserves some recognition, just as you do in your profession. It's not easy to maintain that level. You got to be passionate.
Yeah, Ralph was a lovable character, and he could sound like a curmudgeon on the air.
Yeah.
But
it's Ralph Barbieri, yeah.
and he knew a tremendous amount about sports. So one time he was on AGO, and so he asked me if I do a show, and he said, well, one thing, it starts at midnight. So I'm sitting in my room roughly, and all of a sudden I hear the one bell ring on the campanile, which means it's one. He said, can you stay over a little while? Then it didn't seem like too long until I heard bells ring on the campanile. And by the time we were done, I'd done 3 straight hours.
Oh my God! 3 hours on the phone with Ralph. Wow. Well, it must have been on the air. It must have been an interesting conversation. You guys must have gotten into a lot of topics there.
Those late night conversations. Al Davis used to call me, once every couple of weeks, and he would talk about history, international politics, trade, and then would absolutely suck your brain dry of every commercial he could find.
Yeah, he was amazing. He knew how to manipulate people, but if he liked you, I mean, he treated you really well, and there were a lot of people who were very loyal to Al Davis.
He was great with me, and ironically, I had Raiders season tickets when I was in law school at Berkeley. kept them for 30 years. So to get the tickets, I'm at the very top of the stadium. Sitting right next to me is a young guy named Mark, and so we sat next to each other 5 or 6 years. And anyway, that's Mark Davis.
Oh my gosh!
Owns the team.
Wow, what a great story.
I can imagine Al wanting to be on your good side for other reasons besides you being a nice guy. Is you're doing these contracts, and even though you're done with the owner, well, I mean, he is the owner, but I was thinking of some of the coaches too, staying on good terms with the coaches, because you have some influence as to how the contracts are going to be written.
Well, the thing about it is that one of the keys is you can either maximize compensation in a regular way, or you can brag about maximizing it. Because at the end of the day, the owner is the only person who can write a check. And if you embarrass him publicly, crow too loud about what a great deal you have, he's not going to want to deal with you the next time. So you have to work within that system, because the only sure thing in a repetitive dealing concept like sports negotiations is, first of all, it's oral. So we'll do a contract, never been signed, we've agreed upon it, there'll be a press conference announcing the signing, and we've never signed any papers. And
look what DeAndre Jordan did to Cuban.
That's free agency. But here, when you do that once with an owner, you would never do it again. Yeah. So you have to be very, very careful. So I see part of my role as a steward of the game, keep sports healthy.
Hey, before we let you go, I got to ask you about, you represented so many fascinating people in sports, mostly athletes, I'm thinking. And I'm sure you've got so many great stories, but do you have any particular favorites that, guys that you still are good friends with today that, when you first met them, that just, there was something there and you've been through a lot together?
So Warren Moon and I started back in 1978, and that was when he made a decision to go to Canada for 6 years. And he then played, after 6 years in Canada, 17 years in the NFL. So he had a 23-year career. So we sort of grew up together. And he had, the other side of it is, like, when I had clients on the 49ers, you would get closer because you just would go to more games and see him more. So Steve Young and Merton Hanks and Tim McDonald and Jess Cipolla and Eric Davis and a whole slew of those players that got really, really close to me.
That's going to be a fun time, too, because that was the last great 49er team you're talking about, 1994, and that was a special year. We haven't had one since, but I get the feeling maybe as we talk about, as we finish up here, maybe Kelly is the key to the start of a new era. Who knows?
He might be. So remember, Steve was in the shadow of Montana forever.
That's right.
Yeah. And he throws the 6 touchdown passes in that game. I run down on the field. He gives me a hug and he yells, "The monkey's off my back."
Yeah, it was off his back.
What do you think about Kaepernick coming back? What's going on with that?
I think that the 49ers were done with him. They were never going to pay him that $12 million that they need to in a couple months. This changes things because Kelly likes that more mobile quarterback, and Kelly's the type of guy who will believe that whatever is wrong with Collins' game, he can fix.
Gotcha.
So, I think he went from a situation where it was almost certainly they were going to draft high, one in which I'll bet he decides to do a reclamation job on Colin Kaepernick.
Well, it's interesting because Kelly was saying you never can have too many quarterbacks. Now he's got Gabbard and Kaepernick. Granted, both of them had their liabilities, but given the number of injuries we've seen in the pros this year, it's great to have 2 quarterbacks, so maybe it'll work out. Who knows?
Kaepernick took him, to the Super Bowl.
That's right. He kept 8 yards away before they fell short against Baltimore.
I think if I were playing, I'd be a mobile quarterback because I'd be scared of those 300-pound linemen chasing me.
See, I think that's one thing. Lee was smart. You played sports, but you knew, as I did when I was young, I played sports, but I wasn't very good. But I knew that I wanted to be around sports, and we've been able to make a career out of it. Is that the nirvana or what, Lee?
Oh, I mean, it's sort of amazing. But if you ever stand on the sidelines of a professional or collegiate game and actually hear hear the sound and see the force of the hit as you're screened off from, even up in the stands and on television, you would never go out in the field.
That's why I like baseball. In fact, I was teasing Billy Bean about wanting to pitch for the A's, and I said, hey, I can throw in the high 60s.
Yeah, right.
So maybe Lee, maybe you can represent me.
That's the real change-up.
Exactly. I figured I'd fool him for the first pitch or two, and then after that it'd be all over.
There you go. There you go.
Leigh Steinberg, thank you so much for giving us the time of day today.
My pleasure.
Great talking to you, Lee, and keep continued success to you. What a great story. That is, and, you know, you talk about a guy who was really sort of at the top of his game. What the book, I would think, he didn't push the book, but I think the book he wrote probably has some great stories about a lot more people he's crossed paths with.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
so.
it's kind of it's neat because again we talked about how the movie Jerry Maguire was fashioned after him.
That's right.
Having high scruples, and then the whole thing with Cuba Gooding Jr. I remember. I haven't seen the movie in 20 years.
Show me the money.
That's it.
I love all those lines in that movie. The one between Renee Zellweger and Tom Cruise was, "You had me at hello." Yeah, right. Yeah.
Very good sappy stuff.
Oh, the women love that stuff. That's why it was a popular movie with both the men and the women, because you had the relationship here and you had the football over here.
That's why it's funny. Their movies. I mean, the people who are making the movies are getting kind of very smart.
Oh yeah.
If there's enough. Remember the Titans?
My daughter,
that's one of my favorite movies.
Remember the Titans? It's interesting you bring that up. I showed that to my daughter, and she loved it. You know why? There's a little girl involved. You remember the coach?
Yeah, she's
the
great.
coach's little girl, who's like the little mascot, but she knows football like nobody's business.
Exactly.
She's like 10 years old. She's like this little football genius. It's great stuff.
Yeah. And the theme. I mean, it's football, but it's about racism.
It's about racism. It's about growing up. It's about learning lessons, and it's about loss and victory. And it really touches all those things that we especially love about sports. And I think that it is sappy. But Denzel Washington, man, he had an all-star cast. It was just a wonderful movie. If you have a chance to see it.
So even like The Cinderella Man is about boxing.
Another great movie with Russell Crowe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yet, there's enough emotion stuff that's going in that'll keep the women interested.
No question. I got to see this movie that just came out. I did see the one with Jake Gyllenhaal, Southpaw.
Yeah.
Boy, that is a dark film. It's a good film, but it's very dark. Yeah. I mean, it's about loss. It's about dealing with crippling loss, both of talent and of self-worth and of a loved one. It's powerful.
And what was the one with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale? Remember, he's a fighter, and Christian Bale.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that one. I heard the Creed movie is very good though.
That's what I haven't seen that yet, and that's the one I can't get my wife to see. And I said, listen, it's not just boxing. There's a story behind it.
Well, and Stallone is apparently. This is his greatest performance. He's been nominated for an Academy Award. I mean, this would be a great story if he gets it, because this guy's been around Hollywood for 40 years.
And he can't because of, Adrian, she died, and she's dead in one of the other ones. Okay, tell you what, we're going to cut to our last commercial break, and here's our trivia question. Possibly the most common last name in Baseball Hall of Fame is Robinson.
Robinson.
Can you give me the 4 first names of people named Robinson in the Hall of Fame?
Okay, I got 3 of them.
Okay, that was fast.
I got all 4 of them actually.
Do you really?
I do.
Okay, I knew you were going to get 3.
I think. Hang on a second.
Number 4.
Okay, hang on a second.
And you can't say Professor John Robinson from Lost in Space. He doesn't count. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Really? You have all 4
Yeah,
of them?
I do.
That's going to be awesome.
I do.
Okay.
I'm pretty. If I don't, you can call me on it, but I'm pretty sure I do.
That was good with Lee.
Yeah, he was terrific. He's kind of dry, but he's still, he's got a lot of stories.
But you know what? Right. It wasn't as dry as it could have been.
No. But he's been through, I'm glad to see he's back. And Lee's got a bit of it. Nobody has a right to. Shit, the guy's been doing this for 40 years. He's had some amazing
How come he didn't give you an invitation to his party?
I'm just hoping to get that's another thing I'll have to tell you about. Today was just, until I went surfing, I was so pissed off today. Bad day. Well, it's sad, too. There's a lot. I'll tell you after we get out of this thing.
Okay. Yeah, we have a little time.
Yeah.
All right. How do you invite 3,000 of your best friends?
That's a good question. Okay,
ready to finish
yes.
it up?
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here was our final trivia question, and before I could even get it out, you said you had 3 out of the 4 answers. Okay. Possibly the most common last name in the Baseball Hall of Fame is Robinson. Can you give me 4 first names of people named Robinson?
Well, one of them is really easy. That's Jackie,
very
who
good.
integrated baseball.
Yep.
And then I'm going to pick the 2 guys who played with the Baltimore Orioles back in the early 1970s, Frank Robinson and Brooks Robinson.
Very good. Okay.
And then lastly, this is a stretch.
It's a stretch.
But I'm probably going to miss it, but there was a great manager for the Brooklyn Dodgers back in the 1920s, and he also was a longtime coach. He was in the game for something like 35 years, Wilbert Robinson.
You are the man!
Yeah,
that is correct!
Yeah, that's right. Wilbert, he had a nickname, too.
Oh, I don't have his nickname.
Yeah, but he was a character. He pretty much was out of the picture by the mid-30s, but if you know anything about baseball in the 1920s, Wilbert Robinson was the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they had what they called the Daffiness Boys. You know, and they had a guy named Dazzy Vance.
Yeah.
And they weren't very good, but they were exciting. You know, they were good teams.
Well, he
the
managed them
Dodgers.
from 1914 to 1931, and at one point, that's where the Brooklyn Robins came from. Was from his name, Robinson.
And they were in a World Series in 1921 or 20, I think. One of those years.
Did they win?
No, they did not win. They didn't win a World Series till '55, and they won their only World Series in '55. And they moved to LA. And since they've been in LA, they've won 5 championships. So unfair. Brooklyn had that team for so many years, didn't win but 1, and then they go to LA and they win 5. It's not fair.
Yeah, well, and Brooklyn was my dad's team.
Really?
So actually, he came out.
That is interesting. My dad's team were the Yankees.
Oh,
of the 1930s, though.
Okay.
And with Lou Gehrig, you know, and
Gotcha.
before that, when he was a little boy, he went to his first game and saw Babe Ruth play.
Yeah.
1927 was his first game. That was not Ruth's first game, but my dad's first game.
Yeah, well, yeah, my mom said Babe Ruth shook her pinky because she was a little girl.
Oh, cool.
But what, I'm trying to think of, like, how many, devastations my dad had as a Brooklyn Dodger fan, especially to the Yankees.
Well,
like
in the 50s, they were great teams. It was like the Oakland Raiders in the 70s. They'd always get to the championship, and they would lose.
They would lose. Okay, wait, we got to cut out. Here's our thoughts for the day. Former New Orleans Saints running back George Rogers said, I want to rush for 1,000 yards or 1,500 yards, whichever comes first. Dick Butkus said, I wouldn't ever set out to hurt anyone deliberately unless it was important, like a league game. Okay, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective, giving away more free vacations for answering sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
All right.
Right over there. Okay.
Good show.
Yeah. That was fun having one guy.
He was good. I'm going to work on some more. Today it's just,
what happened?
Started off